Hello, y'all, and welcome into the CITIUS MAG live pre-race show. I'm Serenity Douglas, and I have the honor of being joined by Talitha Diggs, 2022 400-meter USA champion. She's a two-time world champion, medalist, all that, and two-time Olympian, five-time record holder in Jamaica. I mean, what can I say? I am honored to be here with you guys. We're here at Icahn Stadium on Randall's Island. Here, I think that's the perfect name for this meet, too. Icahn Stadium. And then Athlos. I love it. I think everything about it is just perfect for this meet. And I'm really excited. What about y'all?
Thank you for having us.
Stadium
I'm so
with the
excited.
Icons?
Yes, I'm so excited. It's a little bit different than, racing in a meet, but I'm super excited.
I mean, we're here witnessing history. The first women's only meet.
Yeah.
We've got big prize money, big celebrities. We have Megan Thee Stallion at the end of the night. It doesn't get much better than this.
No, it really doesn't. That's why I said Icahn Stadium for this iconic meet. So, I mean, what else can you say? We're going to have Olympic champions racing here. I mean, we're going to have so many great athletes racing here. So, we just got to jump right in. But look, for starters, you don't get to always ask, world champions and Olympic medalists, what do you think of the first ever women's meet? What was you guys' reaction to it?
Well, definitely really early on, I had some relationship with Alexis, and he had been messaging me, DMing me, trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to create a meet? He's really passionate about women's sports. And honestly, I'm all in. I think women's voice in general is always really important. And I think that bringing them to the forefront of the conversation is going to be important for the young people that we're going to inspire. And then honestly, just really shining a light on the amazing things that we do. So I'm super excited to watch the girls compete, but I'm also it's really just a celebration of women's sports. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a great race.
Yeah, it is.
Track and field is interesting because we are actually on the forefront of equity, gender equity in sport. We have we compete at the same meets. We're getting the same spotlight. We have equal prize money with World Athletics at major championships. That's unique in itself. But what makes track even more special is that the female athletes are the stars.
Yeah.
And when you think of the glitz and the glam of track and field, you're thinking of the biggest names being female athletes. It's really an exciting time to be part of women's track.
Yeah.
To be in this moment. And I don't know if you can hear that, but we've got little girls just absolutely screaming in the background. The hype of this meet is so fun. It's unlike anything I've ever been to.
Yeah, and I just think that what I've been seeing from a lot of the athletes, I saw a Navia Battle already tweet, and you were talking about Corey McGee earlier. These athletes feel like queens here. So it's not just a track meet. Since this is the final meet, and like you said, Megan Thee Stallion is going to be performing, they're trying to make them feel good, about it. It's not just the fan experience, but it's the athlete experience too. And both of you guys can attest to that at the fact that, you go to track meets. I saw Gabby tweeted back in I think last year. She was you leave these meets in debt. But now you're leaving these meets feeling wow, they really enjoyed having me here now. So I mean, you guys can talk from you guys' experience of just the shift. Especially you, Aisha, you are a vet in this sport at this point. So to see the shift in women's sports go from oh, okay, what's your name? What lane are you in? To now roll out the red carpet. They have freaking paparazzi out here to make you guys feel like celebrities.
Yeah. I mean, I'll date myself. I was a professional runner for 12 years. And there was a really big paradigm shift with social media, truly. Because when I started the sport, men were making all the money. Yeah. If you were a woman in sport, you're just kind of an also-ran. And this has totally changed. Now the females are the stars. And what's super special about this meet, I got to talk to my training partner, Corey McGee, and she was giving me the whole lowdown. When you're a track athlete, this is your life. We don't have really an off season. You're training all the time. You put in so much effort, so much time. You're not paid very well. And you go to a meet and it's they're doing you a favor. It's oh, you should be lucky to come here and compete, find your way from the airport, figure it out. No. At Athlos, these women are taken care of everybody is a gold medalist. There's car service from the airport. They're getting to a beautiful hotel where their room is set up with amazing outfits from Calvin Klein and skincare from Win Beauty and CeraVe and products from Therabody. They are taken care of in the way that they should be. Corey put it best, and she said, Athlos is meeting the energy that we come to the meet with. Ooh. We are coming to dominate, and they're coming with that same positivity of you are here, you deserve to be here, and you are the star of the show.
Oh, I like that. Coming with the energy that the athletes already come with. I mean, Talitha, you just retired, Aisha, but Talitha, you are still in this, still really heavily in this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what has your experience been? I mean, you just went pro. It feels like yesterday. So.
I mean, obviously I'm new to the sport in terms of the professional scene, and then my family and my mother's been in the sport for a long time, and even just seeing the changes from her time to, my aunt's time period where, they had more opportunities, more meets, just more pay in general. Like my mother told me her first contract, it was like, I was like, Mom, how did you even do it? Like, how did you even compete?
How much was it?
It was like $4,000. It was something like $5,000. It might have been $7,000. It was something like for the whole year. And so, but even just to start, but that's her coming out as like one of the best in the time period. And so just seeing the changes of how like everything has been, just being altered and just how much support and love that the women's sports are getting. And so I'm personally excited just because we have so many different opportunities. There's a lot of different leagues coming out. And now this is actually our first time to see like, okay, how is this one going to go? How are they running it? And they're really setting the standard. What Alexis has done, what Athlos has done, it has been a phenomenal production thus far, just seeing it, and they're really just setting the standard for how women's sports are going to continue and how we should be treated. Like Corey said, this is what we do. We practice, we train every day, we come to meets, and now we're being appreciated for what we do. And I think that it's just going to continue, and I'm excited to see how everyone else adapts to it too.
Yeah, I agree. And if anybody doesn't know, Alexis Ohanian is Serena Williams' husband. That has to be on his resume for
first
starters.
and foremost.
But you guys, without him being Serena Williams' husband, even though that is a stat in itself, he is the CEO of Reddit, the co-founder of Reddit. So, I mean, for him to come together and put together Athlos and think like, I'm watching track and field. There are so many storylines here. Gabby Thomas is out here whooping everybody's butt. Why aren't people watching this?
Yeah.
He's over here, and this is a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. So for him to be like, well, where is everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, that's embarrassing. I mean, for him to see that, like, we have all of these storylines, great athletes, and there's nobody out here to see it. There's no, TV deals for it. There's no commercials for it. There's no T-shirts for it. Like, we need to be blowing up like Caitlin Clark has been blowing up. And I think that has started to happen now, like these past couple of years, for sure. I mean, now the normal person on the street will know who Sha'Carri Richardson is. I have met plenty of people who know who you guys are. So it's like, wow, like, y'all are speaking my language? Y'all know track just a little bit? It definitely, I love it. Yeah. I love to see it. So, first of its kind.
Yeah.
Women's meet.
I think even just touching on the point that she just talked about, like where Caitlin Clark and all these other sports, like honestly, all of us are athletes. We have our own professional sport, like I know track and field, basketball and whatnot, but honestly, we are all together. And like, I want to see the progression of women's sports in general. Like I love when Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, like I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are my age and they are creating a platform that is even more popular than at some point NCAA men's basketball to a degree. So I'm like, okay, this is something that can happen. People do care about women's sports. Our voices matter. And it's really exciting just seeing everyone coming out here. Like those girls over there screaming, like I could imagine if I were, 5, 6, 7 years old and being able to see, the people I looked up to, like maybe if Allison Felix were to have something like this, and just the opportunity and the hunger that it creates, I think it's just so special. And I'm really excited to see how it's going to continue from this meet.
Me too. I mean, I can distinctively remember meeting Lolo Jones and Dee Dee Trotter and having them sign the back of my shirt at a track meet in Georgia. And I'm like, this is peak. Like, they know who I am now. So I can't even imagine how these young girls feel to be able to, like, touch these athletes, hug these athletes,
themselves.
and see them. See
themselves. I mean, I think it's really hard to imagine. Like when I was coming out of college, it was hard for me to imagine what a professional runner looks like, and what I didn't even really know it was a thing. But now we're able to see so many athletes being so successful on such a big stage, and I can't even imagine seeing it.
Yeah, no, not at all. And what I also love is that Alexis is deciding to have a lot of all women's broadcasts for these meets. I mean, first of all, what Chris Chavez is doing for having an all women's broadcast for the CITIUS MAG like live show just for you guys. I think that women need to be heard a lot more, and women have been doing a ton. I mean, if we're being completely honest, Athlos is doing a ton, and this is the fact that it's your first day out. Like, that's kind of how it is. It's my first day out, and they're already doing this much. Yeah. So, I mean, we're also going to have Chief Marketing Officer of Athlos, Kayla Green, join us on this podcast, and I'm super excited for that one as well. And she's just been doing a lot for the sport, too. I mean, I've been communicating with her ever since this meet was announced, and she has just been right on it. And if we're being completely honest, the women they're on it regardless to me. So I'm like, it's a no-brainer at the fact that, like, women need to run this track meet.
Yeah. Well, I think our voice is unique, right? Like the challenges that we have as female athletes, just in sport, telling our own stories. I think you get a different lens when it's coming from a woman, because we have shared experience, we have shared struggles, we have shared success, shared joy and elation. And I think that when you are hearing it from a women's perspective, when women are behind the scenes, the product that comes out really, really resonates.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also, like I said, about the experience of it. The fact that they have this red carpet. Now, you guys, like, back there where that crowd is, there's, like, tons of fans screaming for the athletes coming out. And, I mean, the music has been bumping. The fact that you booked Megan Thee Stallion, the vibes are already perfect out here, and the meet hasn't even started yet. I want to say it's still, like, 2 hours until the meet. But like I said, it's the fan experience, it's the athlete experience. And especially being the last meet of the season. I know, like, a lot of these athletes came off of such a great high from Paris Olympics, but now it's like, you get to see, you know, Megan Thee Stallion, there's an open bar, like, you know, there's paparazzi.
There's open bar?
I think.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
We have to get confirmation on that.
If I had an earpiece, can we check that out?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm retired, so yeah.
Yeah, no comment for me. Yeah, but I also really appreciated even just the comment about, you know, like, where women's sports are going to continue to go from this moment. And this is a celebration, like you'd mentioned. We've got so many Olympic champions out here. You know, you've got Paulino, you've got Faith, you have Masai. Like, you have so many great athletes who have been consistently good. And I think that even for them, it's like, no one's trying to come out here and break the world record. And if they are, congratulations.
Love it.
More power to you. But honestly, I think really what people are just wanting to do is come out here and celebrate themselves and celebrate their seasons. You know, having talked to, you know, with Masai, you know, she had a really, really long season, and, you know, a lot of the races weren't always like positive for her, but she had her best race at her biggest moment, and now she gets to celebrate that at a meet like this. And so just being so proud of, you know, having her, you know, she's really young, like, she's younger, and kind of seeing like the come up, and even to a degree it could be like a passing of the torch, you know, like this Olympics we saw a lot of new Olympic champions from the prior years. And so I think that, like, going forward, we're just going to continue to see this trend go positive. And I also think that, you know, it's just another opportunity even for, you know, the marketing officers, like you mentioned. There's so many other jobs that not everyone's going to be a professional athlete running in this meet, but there's so many opportunities for women to be highlighted, like the chief marketing officer, you know, the people running, you know, even just like the
athlete relations.
Yeah, the athlete relations, like they were women. And so I think it's really positive to just have all that too.
No, I am feeling, this is a dated pop culture reference, but this is the most high Barbie energy that I've ever experienced. And I mean, to your point, every person, every touch point I've had with Athlos is a woman.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was prepping for the races and just prep on this podcast, I hated that my initial reaction, I was like, okay, 100 hurdles? Now, 110 hurdles. And I was like, no 110 hurdles, just women. That's it. And if we're being completely honest, women they've taken the torch of just being like the most competitive thing to see. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to say, like, at the Olympics, like, everybody is tuning in for the women. Obviously, the men have great storylines, but the women, they're closer to the world records. They're closer to those American records. And pretty much every meet, they're pumping them out. Like, we know that we're going to get a show every single meet. But like you said, Talitha, back to your point, passing the torch. Now, speaking of passing the torch, the 100 hurdle champion, the Olympic champion, Masai Russell. Now, we're going to start off with hurdles. And I love that because I always look really, really forward to hurdles. But, like, I always have to wait a little bit for it for all the other races to go by. But Masai Russell, being the Olympic champion and as young as she is, and that's one of your friends. So I'm just like, how does that feel to, like, see her reach her goals and succeed? Like, it's finally here.
Yes. I mean, honestly, Masai and I have become really close this year just because we were rooming with each other at Indoor Worlds, and just kind of having the opportunity to just get closer to her and see how her faith has come out. She has such a great support system between, you know, Robbie, her mother, her father, and her siblings. She has just so many great people around her. And so I think even that aspect is really important. I think it's important in sports in general, but I really think for women's sports, just having that support system, and, you know, this is another example of this support system. Like, Athlos really is another level of support. And so I think, for Masai, like, she's had an amazing season. You know, she won the big meets. She won USA. She ran 12-2, you know, and she just peaked at the right time. And I think that, you know, it even goes to a testament of, like, okay, this year you don't have to run fast every single race, but the races that you run fast have to be really important. So she did that, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she competes again. And she has some great competitions, Rennie. I mean, you know, she's going up against Jasmine Camacho-Quinn and a bunch of other,
No, literally. I mean, she's going up against another Olympic champion. Yeah. And that's what I've really enjoyed about the hurdles this year. It's the fact that these ladies constantly, when I interview them, they're like, we're not scared to race against each other.
I love
at
that.
all. The women's hurdles, they're going to line up.
Yes.
You're going to have the Olympic champion. You're going to have the previous world record holder at Kenny Harrison. You're going to have the new world record holder, Toby Amusin. And you're going to have, like, the most recent Olympic champion now. So I just think that that's absolutely amazing at the fact that, like, you're going to get the lineup every single time. But we have a very special guest going to join us. Is Kayla Green for Athlos. She's the Chief Marketing Officer. And first of all, the outfit is real cute, Kayla. As we bring you in, take a seat.
Thank you.
We have been boosting you.
You're so sweet. These girls are serving. I gotta like, we gotta do the thing, right?
Absolutely.
These girls are serving.
Yeah, they are.
And they're so inspiring. You all are inspiring. We are so excited about what we're doing tonight. This is history.
Yeah.
Don't you feel it?
No,
Yes. Isn't
Now,
it?
speaking of that, like, take us back to where it started, Kayla. Because where did this idea come from Alexis?
Yeah. So, Alexis is someone who lives on the internet. We know this. He's ex-Reddit, right? Former founder of Reddit. Now turned, VC. He was the lead investor, founding investor in Angel City Football Club. I actually happened to work for him, and I named that thing.
Yes.
Number 3, CMO of Angel City for 2 years. So we built that thing together.
Great.
And even back in 2019, he saw the empty space. He saw, how come no one's investing in this thing? These women are amazing. They only get the attention during a Women's World Cup year or during the Olympics, and yet then they fade into the background, and these women are absolutely incredible. And that kicked off the tweet in 2019 where he was like, if I were to, invest in women's soccer, what would I do? Who would know anything? And Alex Morgan comes right back over and is like, I think I know a few people who can help you with that. And so he really saw that opportunity with women's soccer, and he continues to do that. And so, last year, he's like on the Track Spice and the Track Twitter, and he's seeing all of you girls, and he's seeing CITIUS, and he's saying, there's something here. But why is the attention only once every 4 years? We need this to be not once every 4 years, but all the time. And these women have incredible followings. Not only do they have incredible followings, they've got great stories. So you've got the rivalries, you've got the redemption stories, you've got the breakthrough new talent, right? You were talking about Sai. And I think he saw all of this and was like, it's more than just the eyeballs on a screen. Because when we think about this path to equity for female athletes or underrepresented athletes, so much of it is the media, and it's the media equity. And that's not just tuning in, because that is an antiquated metric. We all know that. CITIUS knows that. You know that. You are using your voices every day beyond just that tune in and that rating. And as we start to think about new metrics to value these women, that's when the brands come. That's when the sponsors come. That's when we get to do this more. And we get to do it with World Athletics, and we fit into their schedule. We get to bring more fans into this sport. And I think, for Alexis, it was like this whole idea that, okay, the track community, they love this. But how do I broaden the fans? How do I bring more appeal to this sport beyond just that core track fan who goes to Eugene every year, right? And they're following, and they know all the girls, and they know the stories. And so it was this idea of the crossover of two universal passions, sport and music. We all love it. We're obsessed as humans with speed, right? And so he was like, why have we not created a cultural moment? This is a cultural moment. We have Megan Thee Stallion. She's here right now, everyone.
The hottie
Yeah,
herself.
the
The
hottie
hottie
herself. Feel it in the
It's
air.
here right now. It's so exciting. The air in here is electric. The girls keep coming in, and they're like, thank you. This is so cool, so fun. We're doing so many new things at this track meet. We have made the very first bib designed just for a woman's torso.
Wow.
No safety pins.
Okay,
And,
that's something I could definitely get behind.
I gotta say, it's so funny. Alexis was like, why do they wear, what's up with the bibs?
Big pieces of paper.
2024.
It's a sheet of paper.
This is the oldest sport in the history of mankind. Why are we still wearing bibs? And I was like, I don't know. So I text Aisha Johnson, and we all know Miss Lay. She's like, well, Kayla, it's because they're made for a man's torso, and we just got them flapping in the wind because we're smaller. And he, and I was like, huh, and reached out to our race operations team, and I said, can we make a bib smaller? And they were like, yeah, you'd be the very first track meet to do it. So, when you do things first, they either goes incredibly well or horribly bad. Yeah. And I was like, this is either going to go really well or it's going to be an absolute disaster. And I just saw Zoe Hobbs, and she's like, Kayla, this is amazing. It fits me. I just saw Alicia. She's serving head to toe, Miss Alicia over there. And she's like, thank you. Yeah. It finally fits my outfit.
Yeah.
So, we're doing a lot of new things tonight. We're trying a lot of new things. And, for us, we are newcomers in the sport. We are learning from all of you. I learn from all of you each and every day. I learn from these girls every day. And for us, this is really about tonight. We got to blow the doors off of this thing. I'm feeling like it is. Yeah. It's electric. But it's so important that we get to prove product market fit, that we look at the things that worked really well. Look, we've got custom made Tiffany crowns for all 6 of the winners. Okay.
That's never been done before.
Never been done before.
Yeah.
Not even close.
We were just
been done before. Tiffany is so proud to have done it, to be the inaugural partner for us to make these crowns. And, I got to say, we're trying some new things. DJ D Nice, he's spinning walkout songs for all of the girls.
Amazing.
We were doing these emails back and forth saying to the girls, well, what's your walkout song and what's your walkout song? Guess what Faith Kipyegon's walkout song is?
I'll never guess.
At all.
Shakira, Waka Waka. It's my
child's
favorite song.
Oh my
She's gonna come
God.
out and do it.
This time for Africa.
It's
So
so
good.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, she's amazing. I met her for the first time 2 days ago and was like, I love you. And she told me she did her shakeout run in Central Park. Of course she did.
Yeah.
And so, we're trying a few new things, and look, we might not get all of it right. And so we take it back, we look at it, we say, you know what, that worked really well. That was kind of new, and I don't know if anybody really understood why we did it that way. Maybe we don't have to do it that way next time. And then we get to decide what happens next. But we are newcomers in the sport. We have to earn our way in, and we need to gain the trust and the respect of the track community. One of the things we found so important when we were working on this earlier this summer, I had a sit down with Mark Wetmore, and I said, we walk with intentionality and integrity, and we would like to meet with World Athletics. We want to talk to them about how this works. We're not going to ask them for anything. We don't want them to be surprised. Wait, there's a track meet at the end of the season? We were at the end of the season. Hang on, what's this thing happening in New York City? And, we met with John Ridgedon, really, really wonderful conversation. He turned to us and he said, let's keep working. Mm-hmm. Let's work on this together. And so, I said, Alexis said, John, we're going to blow the doors off of September, and then we get to sit down and figure out what happens next. But it's so important that we do work with the governing bodies of the track community.
It has to make sense.
It has to make sense.
No, well, we appreciate you so much, Kayla, and Alexis as well, because you guys don't understand. We needed people to see us in the track world, because we're over here drowning. We have all these great storylines. Of course, we know that we have all these great storylines, but for somebody, an entrepreneur at that, a businessman, to be something is there, we really, really appreciate that. So even adding that context has been great.
It is our job. I'm a marketer through and through. Okay, so
the chief marketing officer.
I do all things marketing. It is our job to tell the stories of these athletes every day that they're not competing. That's my job. It is our job. And if we get it right, we bring more and more fans to this sport. Look, Angel City, 4 years later, the most valuable pro sports team, women's pro sports team in the world. Yeah. We're incredibly fortunate of the success that we've seen. That was some of the hardest work from the hardest working humans, but we're doing it again. Yeah. And we're so committed to this, and we see that there's potential. Look, there's nothing wrong with this sport. We're not here to revolutionize it. We're not here to change it. There's nothing wrong with it. We want to shine a gigantic spotlight on it. We've got to do it more than once every 4 years, and that is so important with Athlos. And we live on the internet. So, for us, it's about telling those stories on the internet to the fans. If they can't see it on TV, For us, it's about putting it everywhere else.
Yep.
One of the great things that we did with our broadcast is that we have incredible partners that all took this broadcast non-exclusively. So shout out to Rosalind Duran at ESPN.
Yes.
She took it non-exclusive.
Yeah.
ESPN is streaming it tonight, 2 on Sunday morning. YouTube, X, and DAZN. And they all just said, yes, we're all in.
Yeah.
And they've been promoting it during the WNBA finals.
Yes.
So, you're
Yeah.
hearing about Athlos as you're watching these girls,
No, I love
like
it.
during the finals. So important to us.
And like that's important for the fans, and that has been
Huge.
really important for the media too. So like for people who don't really understand that means that we can record what's going on our phone. We used to not be able to have media rights. A big topic in the track and field community is like, why couldn't I record my own race and post it on my own Instagram?
Yes,
So like
yes.
that has been a big thing. So the fact that there's no media rights for this is just been fantastic. But Kayla, it's been great for you to join us on this
coming.
Sept
Thank
podcast,
you.
y'all. This is
Appreciate it.
Kayla
I hear
Green.
this is a CITIUS first.
Yes.
All
Yes.
3 commentators.
Yes.
So again,
Yes.
we're making history. Thank you to CITIUS for supporting us.
course.
And being here tonight. And thank you for covering all
Of
of
course,
this.
no, thank you so much,
Kayla.
Thanks for stopping
Have
in.
a great time
No, we
tonight.
will.
will.
Shout
We're
out to
gonna have a
Kayla
blast.
Green. She's
Thank
the
you,
chief
Kayla.
See you
marketing
later.
officer of Athlos, y'all. I just loved how she just added so much perspective, more than we could have like asked for. Because, I was speaking to a lot of my friends right before this track meet. And I'm like, for the fact that Alexis decided to invest in women's sports, some people are like, well, duh, he's married to Serena Williams. Well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that he needs to throw his money at track and field just because he's married to a woman. And the fact that, she plays tennis, she doesn't do track. So, she added so much context to that.
I think it's important to note that the success of a sport is not just like, oh, this is really cool, everything is great. To have the vote of confidence that business people in the world are putting real money behind this sport, it's a good vote of confidence that there is potential here. This is just going to continue to grow as we move toward the LA 2028 Olympics. We saw the success, and we are physically putting our money where our mouth is, that this will be successful and we can continue to grow this sport.
I agree.
100%.
Right, y'all?
Yeah. No, I'm really excited for that. And I want to talk.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I was
so
about to talk
back
about
to the
the
track.
hurdles.
Okay,
I was
we've been
about to
talking
say-
about. Let's
Yeah,
talk
I was
about
about to say,
track.
I was
Let's
like,
talk about
it's
some
time to
track.
get into-
Yeah, let's.
That's what I was about to say.
What are we
Let's
gonna
talk
see?
about the
So let's talk about the
Masai
hurdles.
Russell. We
Yeah,
have
we
the
talked
Olympic
about Sai.
champion, y'all. I just cannot even believe that that's coming out of my mouth. Masai Russell
Masai
has won
Russell,
the
Olympic
Olympics.
champ.
Not because she's not fast, but just because she's just so young. And the torch has officially been passed. 12:25. We also have Lele as well. And take a look down at the bottom. That's Jasmine Camacho Quinn. She is the former Olympic. Oh, never former, never past.
Never former. She is the Olympic champion.
In 2021.
Yes.
Jasmine Camacho Quinn. This is stacked. Talitha, what do you see?
Yeah, so I want to even talk about Danielle Williams. I mean, she was a
Absolutely.
world champion from
Yeah.
last year. Look at her PRs, you look at her times. Alicia Johnson, Charisma Taylor, Jasmine Camacho, and Tania Marshall. I mean, all of these ladies have put great races. They've had super formidable times, and I mean, they're just consistent. I think that it's important to even just look at you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 ladies under 12.4.
Exactly.
And honestly, this race can be won by any single one of them.
Yeah.
You also have to look at the diversity of the sponsorships here. Like, it's just important that every single different athlete is represented in different ways. You've got so many different countries being represented. You have the islands. The Jamaican USA rivalry lives on in every race.
It's for real.
And so just to see these girls and know, Alicia had an amazing season as well, making
did.
the team. She didn't compete how she wanted to in Paris, but I mean, at the end of the day, she made the team. She competed well throughout the whole season, and she's been consistent too. So
Yeah, and it's
I'm
about the
excited for
experience.
that. And then also on Tania Marshall, I mean, she's been in like every Diamond League race.
She
Every time I'm like,
has.
girl,
Yeah.
you're here,
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah.
And she's placing. So honestly, for her to try and finish her season off with like a win, I could see her trying to go out there and really get it done. So
She's got the race reps in.
No,
She's
she
certainly
does.
ready.
And what I
Yeah.
love is that they're all different hurdlers. And I don't think people really realize that. They only think that, there's different strategies when it comes to the 400 or when it comes to the 8 and longer distance. No, hurdles are different too. Lele, she has the best start. She has an insane start. Jasmine, because she's taller than the rest of them, she's stepping over those hurdles like they're not even that high, and that's what I like about seeing her too. Now, Masai, I think that she has one of the best finishes.
Yeah,
because she will come out of nowhere. Like even when she won the Olympics, I was like, wait. I need for the time to pop up. Who was it? You know, because and I've seen so many races where that is aside. I mean, I'm just not sure if it's her strategy, but it's how her race comes out a lot of the time. So that race is absolutely stacked.
Roll the dice. Anything could happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I like that we're starting off with it too.
And I like starting off.
Starting off with a bang.
Yeah, we are starting off with a bang. And like I said, one of the most competitive events in track and field is the 100 hurdles.
Okay, let's talk about the 100.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What are we seeing for the 100?
What are we seeing?
This is going to be an interesting one. I think that it's, all of these women compete at a very high level in multiple events. You got the 100, the 200. I mean, you look at what Brittany Brown has even done in terms of having the 200 meters medal this year. She's been coming out Diamond League champion. She's been super, super consistent. Mm-hmm. But here she's like, okay, I'm going to run the 100 as well. And I'm going to come down
and the 200. She's going to get that back.
Yeah. She's going to run. She's going to get some money today. Yeah. So congratulations, Brittany Brown, ahead of time for what you're about to get.
I like that you said she's going to get some money.
She's going to get some money today.
Because the purse, I like that in golf they say the purse. The purse is $60K if you win.
$60K. For the win.
You can come out here and get dead last. Yeah. And
if you're last, you're making $2,500 bucks.
Yeah. You're walking away with something. So yeah, like you said, she's coming out here to get some money.
$25,000 for second, $10,000 for third, $8,000 for fourth, $5,000 for fifth, and $2,500 for sixth. So everybody is walking away with something. And that's that's put pressure on World Athletics, just going ahead and increasing the prize purse for the Diamond League. I think we're going to see this trend that like you're showing up to race, you are coming to compete, and we're going to pay you according to the time that you put in to be here.
Yeah, I think it's even important to just know how throughout the whole time in terms of being a professional athlete, you go to these meets, you travel, it's food involved, it's plane flights, you're flying overseas, you have coaches that you might want to bring, your agents you might want to bring. There are a lot of different pieces here. So it's not like it's just for you. It's not, a lot of times athletes don't even break even. So to have the opportunity to be like, okay, I went all the way out there and I still got, something, it just shows the appreciation for the sport and it shows that it's growing. And then also, I mean, the purse is higher than what you would get at a World Championships or an Olympics in terms of from World Athletics. So it's also just showing, hey, look, this is not a major championship, but it is another opportunity for women's sports to be valued. So when you look at the 100 today, I think that there was also, Solera Barnes, I've run against Solera, I've run against Candace Hill, and I've run against Daryl Nita as well. They have all great finishes. Solera gets out like a rocket, so I know that she's going to get out really, really well. And also, Candace Hill had a world best in the 150 this year, and I was in that race.
Yeah, at the Olympian.
and
we have to talk about it. The 150 was straight.
Yeah, and I was in that race. The 150 was on the straight. She definitely dusted me, and so
can't win them all, Talitha.
Yeah,
sorry.
So sometimes the 400 meter runners dropping down to the 100. That's what happens. But Candace Hill, she's had a really comeback season. You saw her run like 10:98 when she was like really young, like 15 or something.
No,
and
literally.
then
I was in that race.
Oh, you were
from Georgia. Yeah, she's from Georgia. Candace used to dust me since we were 16 years old. So it's all good. But I really want to shout out to Lou because I know she was dealing with some injuries at the Olympics, and that was tough, especially to see that out of a vet.
Yes.
Because it's like, do I want the torch to be passed? Theoretically, yes. Do I hate to see somebody like Tulu go down? Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price deal with her injury and with the uncertainty of her running and not running? No, because it's like I want to continue to see them race over and over and over again, even though they're dealing with these injuries. You get up in age. Obviously, your body is not the same. You cannot snap back. There's 3 rounds. So, I'm really, really excited to see her race.
Yeah, and as you said, she's a veteran. And it's really interesting to look at the start list and really see a mix of up-and-comers, veterans, just different levels from the sport. And Talu wouldn't be here if she didn't know something. She's on the start line for a reason, and we cannot deny that she is a force. When she's healthy, she could take this win.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I think the last person we need to just shout out Daryl Nita, my Adidas sister. So I have to give a little bit. She had was she 4th in the 100 this year? She might have been 5th in the 200 as well.
Yeah.
So she's been crushing it on all cylinders all season. I'm super excited to see how she finishes. She's coming all the way from Great Britain, and so honestly, her coming out here representing her country on this stage, it's going to be great. So
to think that you can call a breakout year getting 4th, but yes, because she had an amazing year this season. She has always been, to me, one of those girls who's kind of like a Dina Asher-Smith, where she was like a relay girl or like getting 4th, getting 5th place, always kind of being there. And I think that this is the year where she inched a little bit too close to the USA girlies and, put some pressure on them. But that means that this upcoming year, like next year, it might be her year for you to get that close this year. So, I mean, I'm really excited to see her as well. But what event is next? I want to say it's the 400 that's next. Is it the 400 that's next? That's you, Talitha.
Yeah.
Look at that 400 start list.
What
Who
do
do
you
you
think?
see?
Look at this race. We've got some heavy hitters here. I mean, you can't go through a race and not talk about Paulino.
No, you
No.
can't.
You just can't.
Marilady Paulino,
I've run
48-17.
I've run against her many times, and I'll say one thing that she does specifically very impressively is at the top of the 200, she has this like power punch move. When you look at her arms and you look at her stride length, it just increases like another level, and this girl just goes flying. I mean,
Yeah.
really. And so that's really where she separates. So when you're watching this race, looking forward to seeing her at the top of the 200, she's probably going to start pulling away and making her move there. Obviously, a lot of great girls, Claver, Alexis Holmes, who's really just established herself, coming out, running a lot of consistent great races for USA and did well at the Olympics also. And then Lena Irby, who, did not make the team this year, but I mean, she's been consistent for the past couple years.
Yeah,
and then,
absolutely,
you got Salwa Nasser, who is kind of a resurgence this year. I mean, she was away for a little bit and she
Yeah.
came back. She got second at the Olympics. She put a little bit of pressure on Paulino, but I mean, at the end of the day, Paulino is so strong that, you don't see people run her down.
No.
And I think that, and then obviously Shamir Little as well, who's jumping into the 400. She's a hurdler, but she's obviously, I mean, she's got a 49.6 PB,
Yes.
so she can run the 4. But the thing I wanted to comment on specifically, like, when you watch the change of the guard, like you have a new era of 400 runners like me were coming up, people who had down, like me, Britain, people who didn't have necessarily the best years, but like, every single person has a down year before they have the rise, right?
Yes.
So
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
looking forward to the future, you're going to see continuing that changing of guard. Shawnee Miller was like the dominant 400 runner
She
for a
was the
long
girl.
time. She was
Yeah.
that girl. And then now you see Paulino. Okay, she hasn't lost a single race. Like, who's that next person? And so as we're seeing that, I'm excited to see how they finish off this season. And this is my favorite race.
Talitha, why?
Of course.
Yeah, the 400
I can hear you
has.
talk about the 400 forever.
Can you tell me? I have a question.
Yeah.
As a track fan, I'm deep in it, but I want to know, why is the 400 so good this year? What's changed?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's just the athletes. I think it's just, the training. I think there's just been some changes from that perspective. But even more, I really just think that when someone does something, when someone puts a time out there, it sets the standard. So, like, for
agree.
example, in college, people weren't really running 49 seconds. Like,
No.
when I ran 49 seconds in college, I think that I was maybe one of 4.
Yes.
The
Mhm.
next
Yeah,
year,
it was like the Kendo
you
Ellis,
had-
a thing, Mo. Like,
yeah, the next year we've got 5 people doing it, and then now you've got 4
You're right.
people doing it. So when someone breaks a barrier, I think that you just see the trend, like, okay, we can do this, And so I think it's the same thing now. You got girls, Shawnee Miller ran 48. Paulino dropped in that 48 zone. You've got the Polish Natalia who also dropped the 48.
Yeah.
And so you see these people, and now it's like, okay, we can do this. And that's even where I'm at, where I'm like, you know what? Let's go 48, 47, whatever it is. Let's get it done.
I love
and
it.
let's push
Yeah.
this sport forward.
no, I think that is an amazing point. And I think that maybe it's human nature. Well, once you see that somebody else can do it, it's like, oh, maybe we could do it too.
Exactly.
It's like you see it, so it's like, okay, well, let me go do it too. Because, if it's not being done, you think that it's impossible, pretty much. And what I also will say, just from like as a fan now, I mean, I don't race no more, but as a fan now, I think what I'm starting to notice is, one, seeing the girls who are doing it, so you're like, I want to go do it too, and there's no obvious, like, that's the champion. Because, like you said, Shawnee Miller-Weibo was dominating, so if we're being completely honest, when she was on the line, we were thinking that she's taking the cake. I would put my parlay on her. But now it's kind of like, it could be at least 3 of these girls on this line now. It could be 4 of these girls. Anybody can take it. And I think because of that, everybody wants to make a statement. In a way, it's like, well, nobody's just dominating for years. I mean, Shawnee's out, but like now it's like, well, it's me. I want to be the number
Yes.
one person.
Yeah.
And I want to be the number one person. No, I want to be the face of it. Because I think that we're getting the faces of sports a lot more now. Like Gabby Thomas has risen to the face of the 200. Sha'Carri Richardson has risen to the face of the 100 meters. So it's like, who's our face for the 400?
Yeah.
And now everybody it's me.
Yeah. And also just in terms of Paulino, just have to shout out her representing Dominican Republic.
Absolutely.
Her representing her country. I mean, how cool is that? She is one of the only people, actually, I believe she's the first gold medalist from the Dominican Republic. And so for her to represent her country like that, I mean, that's honestly super honorable, super cool. And it's, again, inspiring more young people. There's probably someone in Dominican like, oh, wait, I can run the 400? Like, I can do that? Or I can run a race, period. So I think it's super dope to have that. And I'm super excited for that.
I mean, and the fact that We are still out here at Athlos representing CITIUS MAG. Shout out to Chris Chavez. But representing CITIUS MAG, the live pre-race show, the man, the myth, the legend, the man of the hour, Alexis Ohanian, the man who created Athlos, first of all, who decided to say, hey, I want to represent track and field and I want to invest in track and field, has been absolutely amazing. And like we said, for his resume, well, he is the husband of Serena Williams.
Yeah.
The most decorated tennis player in the world, and she is up there in stats of like one of the most decorated women in sports at all. So like just the fact that we're finally getting this is insane. And what I liked about talking with Kayla is like the fact that what we were saying with Kayla is that he didn't have to invest in track.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that he had to. Well, he's married to Serena Williams. Of course he loves women's sports. Says who?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people married to athletes. So we're going to have Alexis joining the show pretty soon here as he comes in here.
Here
the
he
man
is.
of the hour.
Welcome.
The hour.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello,
Now
ladies.
we need to know, how do you
Yes.
pronounce your last name?
Oh, you know
Because
what?
I've heard so many different pronunciations.
So the Armenian, I appreciate you asking, but honestly, I don't mind. As long as you're saying my name, I'm happy. The Armenians would say it's like Ohanian, but I don't even say, I say Ohanian. Ohanian's fine too, I don't mind. But
Ohanian.
Alexis is the important part. But you get Alexis, you can go whatever you like.
Well, thank you
Love
so
it.
much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course.
so
We
excited.
y'all realize we're making history in a few ways, right? We're obviously this is a pretty special, unique event, but more importantly, are we making CITIUS MAG history?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
right.
Look at
First,
this.
all
1,
lady.
2, 3.
There might be something to this. There
Yeah.
might be something to this.
Yeah,
Keep it
sorry.
going. It's like
CITIUS is ours
all
now.
women's broadcast,
Yes.
Yeah.
all black women's broadcast.
Yes.
I
I'm
mean,
not mad about that one bit.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Alexis, I've got a
Yeah.
question for you.
Please,
so
ask me
obviously,
anything.
this is beyond hype. I am already measuring this as a success, but you're a
Wow.
businessman. So please, can you
Okay.
give me some KPIs? Like, what are we looking for? How are you going to measure success at Athlos?
Hit me with the key
Love it.
performance
No, I love that.
indicators.
Yeah.
That's great. All right.
Put
this
him on
is
the
becoming
spot.
a business show. Love it. So our number one goal from the very start has been, do the women who participate, the 36 women who are going to be lining up here, do they say this is the best track meet of their life? Either as a viewer, as a participant, like period, full stop, the best. I know that's a kind of binary distinction. It's not like a net promoter score, but straight up, if every single one of the women who races here today feels like this was the best meet of their lives, check. We're doing something right. Job's
Love
not
it.
finished, but we're doing something right. Yes, we will be looking Monday morning after the ESPN2 rebroadcast. We'll be looking at the total numbers of viewers. We'll be looking at all the tweets. We'll be looking at all the earned media. We'll be looking at the final numbers of revenue. Looks like I was told on the way up here we've sold out. So
Woo!
Yes.
it is exciting and it's also very relevant to the women participating because 10% of all the revenue from this event gets put into a pool spread equally between all the runners. And so look, we're looking at it from a business standpoint. Don't ever get it twisted. All right. And this is why supporting women's sports is so powerful. None of this is about charity. This is pure business. And the reality is women are a great investment and women in sports are an exceptionally good investment, even if they're on the mics.
Yeah.
No, I love it. We spoke with Kayla Green, your chief marketing
Oh,
officer.
great. I'm so happy you
she's
did.
amazing. But what I like that she touched on when it came to you was that some people are like, oh, of course Alexis wants to invest in women's sports, but that's not a duh to me. Why did you decide to invest in track and field? What did you see from your eyes?
To be clear, I was not at all a women's sports fan in 2019. I wasn't. I certainly enjoyed tennis. I loved cheering on my wife. I didn't even like tennis until I started dating her. To be clear, I thought it was
Okay.
my dad-
Yeah.
my dad-
Support that.
and I'm sorry, Dad. He's here, and he knows this though. He used to say it was like a bullshit country club sport,
Oh, gosh.
and so it was never on TV. We were an American football household. It was the only sport that mattered, and so obviously I came around real quick. But what was so compelling was women's tennis was so exhilarating, so exciting. Not just because I'm married to the GOAT, but because it was actually just an amazing sport. You don't think twice. Of course, women's tennis is just as popular in America as men's. But then I saw these disparities in things like women's soccer, where the women suddenly disappeared outside of the World Cup, but I still knew their names. I still knew Rapinoe. I still knew Alex Morgan. And even though I wasn't a fan, their greatness had surpassed it. And that led me to Angel City. So now imagine a year ago, I'm watching folks like Talitha going viral, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why? American women are known for a legacy of greatness.
Yeah.
Full stop, right? I can market greatness all day long, just like with women's soccer. And for some reason, they seem to disappear outside of the Olympics. And so it was just pattern recognition. And yes, I'm a girl dad of 2. I'm proud of that. Olympia's here.
Yes.
I obviously am married to Serena, but none of this is I have become a fan of these sports, but I was a sports fan first who found an amazing business opportunity that also happens to align with my values. But once you start getting into these sports, you can't look away, and part of it's because of the personalities at play. The actual humans doing it are awesome.
And I think even like, early on reaching out like, hey, like I'm trying to get into this track thing. Like he DM'd me like, hey,
I
I'm trying to
straight
get
up asked. I was like, can you teach me? I have a lot of dumb questions.
Yeah, and so he asked a lot of questions. It was like, these are going to be dumb questions. And they weren't dumb questions. They were just questions
little.
Like,
they were little.
He was like, so like for a track competition or game match.
He just put me on blast. I didn't know what the word was.
We got to hit this man with the jargon.
So track game. But he was asking about things like, okay, the right questions. What are you looking for in a meet? Like, what are some of the things that you're missing? What are things that you think could be better? Like, no one had ever asked me that question. Like, I asked my mother, my family's been in this sport for a really long time. And I was like, Mom, like, what do you see could improve? Like, you did it for 28 years. And she's like, honestly, a lot, but no one's ever asked me that. So I think that that's just kind of the initial question. That's the initial hunger. Wow. And this year I was not able to compete. I shut my season down earlier, but I had to be a part of it to some degree. So I'm so happy to be here commentating, looking at what the, girls are doing. I'm so excited to watch them compete. But another question I wanted to ask you, like, when you initially were reaching out to some of us, like, what were you thinking to receive back? Were you completely open ears, or were you like, okay, like?
I was hoping, and I was surprised by the response rate. I mean, nearly, I would say 100% said sure, and might have been. I don't think it was because you all were Reddit fans. It might have been because of who my wife is.
I'm a Reddit girly. Yeah.
I don't know.
I
was
Reddit last
Okay, that's all right. That's a couple.
Some of us are hyper online.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
But I also just thought, maybe with the success of Angel City, it was like, okay, this guy seems to have a track record in women's sports. But I think the reality is, and this is slightly depressing, but your experience of just no one ever asked me, and your mom's experience of just no one ever asked me, I think that's the storyline for a lot of women's sports professionally. And unfortunately, because of power structures, because of the way these things start, you end up having guys like me, even older versions of guys like me, who end up creating a lot of this stuff. And I think it takes an outsider to break the mold of just saying, well, why don't we just ask the top athletes in this sport like what they would do?
Absolutely.
And we don't have to do everything, but if they tell us, as I'm pretty sure you did too, that having a track that wasn't an oval was a bad idea. Which was an idea that I did have.
He did ask me. He was like, hey, can we do it on a track? Why can't that's not an oval?
Yeah, like an F1. No, like an F1 track.
Yeah, he's
so
like, would it be cool to do it on an F1? And I was like,
ooh,
no, that won't work.
It's helpful to ask.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But then it's, hey, what if we double the top prize you could win at the end of a season and make it for one race?
And now everyone says
yes.
Wow. Now, if you can bring us in on it, what has been the biggest pushback that you may have gotten from investors, fans, maybe even some of the athletes, where you're like, how about I just, besides that, can a track not be an oval? What was something else?
So the athletes, 110%, incredibly supportive. I feel like a mini celebrity. The first time I went to Eugene.
Celebrity.
Well, okay, I'm not a celebrity in the track world, right? And yet, when I went to my first event, the qualifiers in Eugene, I had so many people that were so excited to just say hi, take a photo, and talk because of announcing this.
Yeah.
And that made me think, okay, well, I think I'm doing something right if they're excited to talk and give me their opinion. And frankly, the track community has been amazing. One of the reasons I got interested in the sport is because the online, I'm the Reddit guy. I have a spidey sense for deeply passionate communities that may not feel like they're billions of people, but have such a fervor and a passion and a meme culture and all this stuff. And you don't have to spend much time on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter to see that track community. And I'm like, even when they have criticism, it's so incredibly helpful. And that was one of the reasons, why do you think we have the broadcast deal we have? It's because so many track fans in the comments were like, we need access. It's a global sport. Don't make us pay an arm and a leg to watch it. So great. YouTube, Twitter, DAZN, ESPN Plus. You have no excuse not to be able to watch Athlos.
Yeah,
I agree.
I have one last question for you.
Please.
Are the girls running track? Or are they playing tennis?
Olympia literally just ran the 100 here.
Perfect.
We had it on tape.
And we missed it.
No, we got it on tape though.
Okay, I was about to say, why did they announce
this?
it?
This was unofficial time. It was unofficial time.
Ohanian on the track.
She had such a good time doing it. She wants to run it again after the event. She said she's going to stretch a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I talked her through a little strategy.
Yeah. Talitha, maybe you could go work on the starts. You could just
I
get
can
in
help with
there.
the start.
She didn't even use the blocks. I was like, you sure you don't want to try? She was like, I don't
There's
need
so
that,
much left
Papa.
there. There's so much
I was
left.
like, all right,
Yeah.
she didn't need it.
Well, we're looking forward
Explosive
to
start.
it. Man,
Yeah.
we're looking forward to it. We're going to be looking out for her in 10 years, maybe.
Hey,
I
you know
mean,
what?
look.
Whatever that little girl wants to do, as long as she puts her mind to it, she'll be great. And if it's track, awesome.
love it.
And then hopefully, it would be kind of poetic to have her racing in Athlos in the future.
That would be
Oh,
amazing.
That would
so
be
future
iconic.
Athlos is on the table. This isn't just a one and done.
Oh, for sure. I don't half-ass anything. There's a reason I didn't retire 4 years ago. There was
Love
a
it.
reason I started 776. It's because I wanted to put all of my effort, resources, and energy into building dope shit and doing it with exceptional people. And I'm lucky to have an amazing team here. You talk to
Yeah.
Kayla. My partner Chris was the other pillar of pulling this off. And so if we're gonna do anything, we're doing it to matter, right? Seeing the effect. I mean, this sport, I'll tell you, before I got off stage at the Business of Women's Sports Summit announcing Athlos with Gabby, every single woman, coach, trainer, every person I talked to in the sport said, no one is investing anything. It's so awesome you're doing it. Literally, as I'm getting off stage, I read about an announcement that now all of a sudden there are investor dollars ready to start investing in the sport. And a month later, we see the Diamond League increasing their fee. And I'm just like,
All
wow.
of a sudden.
One little ripple, and you start seeing this chain reaction, and all it does is make me hungrier. Because now I'm like, if that's all an announcement did, just wait until folks see this.
Yeah.
Just wait until people experience this. Let's keep pushing this further. And you all are competitors, you know. Like, that brings out the best in everyone. And so, no, we'll absolutely, I want to make Athlos one of the best New York sporting events of the year, period. I want you to put that time on your calendar and say, I need to be a part of this if I can get a ticket, because this is excellence. It's cultural excellence, it's athletic excellence. And if you can win in New York City, you can do it anywhere.
That's it.
Yes. You
can
That's
do
done.
it
That is
anywhere.
That
You
is
can
so
win
true.
anywhere.
And so then it begs the question, do you do it other places? It's an interesting
All right.
question.
Open
We
ended
love it.
question.
We
Started
love
something.
it.
Alexis,
One day at a time.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
even
Oh,
showing
thank
up
you,
and
ladies.
showing
Of course.
showing up for track and field, because we
Hey.
need a lot more people like you to show up and to press everybody else's
Yeah.
hand. We've been seeing the ripple effect.
I love it, and I love to see it. And you know what? I like I said, I don't do anything to come in second. And so I love the
Okay.
fact that we're seeing so much more energy, so much more excitement. And I think you're going to find, based on friends of mine who have RSVP'd tonight, keep your eye on the suites. We have trackside suites. And we've got some really awesome people who are showing up for this event tonight. So, again, I don't know if we're at U.S. Open night match swag yet.
We're
but
coming there.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean,
On
you
the
saw
way.
those Tiffany crowns. Like,
Yes.
there's going to be a lot of very excited people, a lot of New Yorkers showing up for this, and a really great night.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for even just sitting down
Thank
with us
you.
on the little
Thank you.
podcast.
Also, now I'm starting to think, CITIUS, why aren't these ladies just doing this for every event? Pray tell.
You know,
right?
Alexis, we're trying to
Right.
figure that out too.
Most times I'm running, so
Yeah.
not to be
All right,
not
touche,
me.
touche. No, but I'm telling you, come right off that track, get that mic, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, guys,
exhausted.
how are
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the race breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much for joining us on
This
the
is
CITIUS
great.
Mag
Thank
live
you.
pre-show
Thank you.
podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
It's been great with Alexis up here, you guys. This is
Thank you.
amazing. We're over here talking about him, and he's just over here like chilling with us, talking about why he decided to invest in women's track and field specifically.
And the energy is amazing. Like, he wants to win, and we love a winner. Like,
Yeah.
that mentality of we want to be the best, we can all relate to that. We've all stood on the starting line and wanted to be the best at something, and for him to want to be the best at making our sport the best, I'm here for it.
I am absolutely here for it.
Okay,
And
if we
I
don't
just,
talk
like,
about the
it's
middle
fresh eyes.
if we don't talk about the middle distance
I
races
know.
before
We're
this
getting
thing
to
goes,
it. We're
I'm going to
getting
be
to it.
mad.
Let's go ahead
All
and
right,
start with
we're
the
talking
800.
we're talking about the 800.
We're
Okay,
talking about
I'm
the
really excited about this race because we have the Olympic silver and bronze medalists here in Sige Daguma and Mary Mora. But let's not forget Natoya Gould. Look at these personal bests we have up on the screen. We've got Natoya. She's run 1:55.96. What is interesting about the middle distance races here is there's 6 people. There's no pacers. There's no pace lights. Middle
Love
distance
that.
is really driven by pacers, by pace lights in regular season meets. So what we're going to see is championship style racing, which is my absolute favorite. We are going to see tactics. We are going to see a lot of women with different skills going head to head. I'm predicting that we'll see Natoya Gould take this thing out. She loves to run from the
She
front.
does.
Love to see that.
Because she can drop a good 400 time.
I mean, maybe she should have doubled up and dipped down to 400.
Yeah, I mean, she
yeah.
can drop a good 400 time. I mean, you're absolutely right. She does take it out. But I want to touch on your point about no pacers. and no pacing lights. I recently called a long distance race. And I saw in the comments, a lot of them were saying, like, take the pacing lights out, take the pacers out. That's cheating. I need for you to weigh in on this, just from, like, sprinters to, like, middle distance runners. What is that about?
Okay, so there's different skills as an athlete. What I call a time trialer is where you have a pacer, you have the pace lights. What you're focused on is running fast. And we're seeing a lot of world records and the middle distances and the distances fall all the time.
Yeah.
Part of that is the introduction of this new technology with the pace lights. It's this stream of lights around the middle of the track that holds the pace of exactly the optimized splits to run these fast times. We also have the advent of new shoe technology where people are running fast.
Yeah.
People are racing out of their minds. It's incredible. But when you remove those things, you don't have someone to block the wind. Your brain has to turn on. When you're in a paced race, part of the challenge is you're running fast, but you need to turn your mind off. You need to stay relaxed, and then you wait to hear the bell, and that's when you race. When you're in a non-paced race, the energy is totally different. It's unpredictable. You have to be ready to match moves. Your brain has to be on the entire time because you're in a race scenario. It's not just the last lap that's important. It's every meter around the track.
Oh my gosh, you have me excited.
Yeah. So who do you think? So what do you think leading through 400? I mean,
so I think
runner,
we'll see Natoya. I think go in the front through 400, and then it's going to get really interesting. Sige Daguma, she's the world indoor champion. She was silver in the Olympics. Mary Mora has an incredible last 50. Her last 50, it's like she has a jetpack. So I cannot call the winner of this race. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens.
I mean, I want to point out Nia Atkins. I mean, she was the USA 800 meter winner. To even make it to the Olympics, and that shocked a lot of people. And I mean, I'm really interested to see what she will do.
And she's in transition right now. She's moving training groups. She's looking for a new start, and you know what? $60,000 would do a lot when you're in transition, when you're looking for the next step. So she's probably about that bag.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that too, and we have to shout out Addie Wiley because she's a youngster.
Yes,
you know, she's someone who's. I mean, she runs in the Adidas middle distance spikes, which are actually what I train in. I actually really like the Adidas middle distance spikes, so I'm excited to see how she does. And I mean, so what are you thinking in terms of like the last 100? You thinking Mary Moore? I know you said you're not going to call it, but if you had to say, what are you thinking?
Be bold, Miss Girl.
Be bold. If I had to say, I'm going to go Natoya Gould.
Okay.
Here's why. Because she's based in North America. A lot of these women just raced an entire European season. They want to go home. But Natoya Gould, she's back on the soil that she trains in, and she's been racing really, really well all season.
Point.
I think she's going to win this race.
That's a great point. I mean, from athlete to athlete here, I mean, does that matter? To come back on your own soil and do it.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, obviously her heritage is Jamaica, but just in terms of like time change, I'd mentioned I went to compete in a diamond league in China, and it was like a 13-hour flight, and I did it 2 days before the race, and I did end up racing well. I got second too, Paulino. But I did go out there, and it was like a big difference. It's hard to travel, and it's hard when you're having so many different races, fitting it in your schedule. There's training. Like your coaches are going to have to peak you at different times. Your practices are different. You're competing on tracks that you've never competed on, and you're expected to do things at a high level. So I think all those things come into play. I think it's a really good point for Natoya Gould. She's back on this side of the country. I mean, she's been training here. It's probably just a quick flight up from Clemson or wherever she's training right now. So I mean, I think that she's going to run great today, and I'm going to respect that call for her winning. So,
love it.
I respect it. All right, so another distance race, the 15.
We have the 1500. The 1500
it's going to be good. It's going to be a good one.
I mean, look at this field. We have the GOAT. You know, we're talking about Serena Williams is the GOAT in tennis. Faith Kipyegon is truly the GOAT. She is the world record holder at this distance, and she's just coming off of another Olympic gold medal. She's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist in this event, the only one. That's unprecedented. So for her to be running in New York is, I mean, the people in this audience, I hope that they understand that the greatness that they're seeing. They're seeing the greatest athlete at her peak. We also have Gudaf Sagai, who in Paris was sort of an agent of chaos in the Olympic final.
She was. She was.
We have Dariba Wilteji is incredible. Look at the personal best of this race. Just, I mean, 4 years ago, if you're running sub 4 for the 1500, that is good. Now look at this. I mean, the slowest personal best in the field is our girl Corey McGee at 3:57. She PR'd. I mean, I'm not even a Gator, and I'll say go Gators because Corey's energy is infectious. Again, we're not in a paced race. And let me say something about Corey McGee. She is a racer, and she is the most confident woman on the starting line. It is her best self, her best days of her life are race days, and she is going to bring an energy here. She loves racing in the U.S. She loves representing her country, and I think we're going to see a great race out of Corey.
I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. I just think like the fact that with the 1500, obviously, yeah, we watch track, so like we know what's really, really exciting to watch and not, but the 1500 ladies have brought in the crowd. And nobody's getting up to go use the bathroom while they're racing. And I will even say, not even during the 3K, the 5K, I'm not going anywhere. Because these ladies out there, I'm not like, you're going to miss something. And you're right, she was kind of like an agent to like disaster there.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes on Corey as well.
What do you think? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see a bit of a repeat of the Paris Olympic final. I can't see a world. I've watched and I've raced Gudolf enough to know that she's probably going to take this thing out faster than it should go. She does this, and maybe today is the day that it's going to pay off, and she's going to run away from everyone. But you kind of can't beat Faith at this point. She's the greatest.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. The way when I'm racing 1500, the way I think about it is you have 2 laps, you have 300 meters to commit to your plan. You hear the bell, and then you race. And that last lap is going to be electric. You can never predict what's going to happen, but all I know is it's going to be a great race.
Yeah. And what are you thinking is going to be the most critical point of this race? I mean, obviously who finishes the line, so we could say the last 50, but in terms of strategy, in terms of how you know about the different athletes, like what are you thinking is going to be the most important part?
500 to go is where a lot of races are made or broken. You are sort of finding your way to where you want to be at the last lap, and a lot of mistakes can happen there, and a lot of great commitments can happen there. You can slide up the field and get right on the back of who you want to beat and be ready to kick them down. So pay attention with 500 to go.
Oh, I like that. That is like the point where it's like going into that bell lap, because you can't kick it right when at the bell. No, you're kicking it like you said, 500 to go.
And then a slow squeeze until the tape.
Okay. Slow but fast.
Yeah.
Slow squeeze but fast squeeze. But we have to go into the race that is going to be highlighted of the night, because it has Miss Gabby Thomas, the Olympic champion, and she has partnered with Athlos for this amazing track meet. But 2160, what else can you say? I mean, at this point, you have raced against a lot of these athletes, Talitha, but we have Jenna Prandini. Miss Prandini, she's always Miss Make Your Team Prandini. Brittany Brown, like we said, has always been a contender. She actually just won the Diamond League final, and she has always been just kind of like that person to, maybe outlean you or maybe take it out a little bit too hard when everybody else is trying to chill. Anavia Battle was an amazing athlete in college, and she's been finding her footing since going pro as well. Tori Lewis, and then Tamara Clark is another one of those athletes. Miss Clark, she trains on the Tandra Buford Bailey. She's just another one of those athletes where it's like, if they take it out, then everybody else just got to go with her. And don't give her an outside lane. And that's exactly what she has. So,
I mean, I think that when we're looking at this race, we got to look at the strategies. Everyone's going to be a little bit tired. It's not going to be the fastest race, but they're going for the win. They're going for the 60K. Honestly, Brittany Brown has been having an amazing season. She's been running fast at the right times. The way that she runs, she finishes really strong. But when you get to this point in the season, that finish is not always how it was in the beginning. I mean, you don't always have that extra boost. You don't always have that extra jump. So I'm interested to see how she's going to finish. I think Gabby, I mean, she speaks for herself. Olympic champion. She's very versatile. She's great at a lot of different events. So honestly, for her going out here, I think her strategy is just going to be dominated and take it from the beginning. A lot of times, maybe she wants to kick, like at the London Diamond League versus Julian, or like maybe she wants to go from the jump and pass everyone on the turn. She has a lot of different ways that she can run this race, and I think that almost any of them can be effective. I'm interested to see how everyone else responds to her moves, though. Like, I mean, Anavia, I think they're in the next lane, or maybe Jenna. Yeah, like I think that they're going to be obviously like close to her lane. So I'm wondering, okay, are they going to key off of Gabby or go on and run their own race?
That's a great point.
I think the key for Anavia is really she's had a great season too. She's been getting consistently high places at the Diamond Leagues. So I'm excited for her to go out there and just compete, be herself, have fun, and celebrate the season that she's had. She's been a roomie of mine. I roomed with her in China. And so I think that for her to go out there and just run her own race is going to be big. And then, I mean, Clark, another person, 21.92, and she's consistently 22 lows. And you do see a 22.6 from Tori Lewis, but honestly, at any given moment, any given day, someone can be beat. That's why we run the race. If I knew who was going to win, there'd be no point in running it. So honestly, Tori coming out there with a 22.6, it may not be
Shout out to Tori, man.
Shout out to Tori.
Man.
Let's see what happens. So I'm excited to watch this race. And honestly, my pick for today in this race is going to be Gabby. But I'm not shocked if Brittany Brown pulls it off either.
I wouldn't be either. I like what you said. How will the other ladies respond to Gabby taking it out that hard? Yeah. I'm not going to say that she's not a good turn runner because she is eating people up on the turn, but I want to say how these ladies respond to their accomplishments that they got, because this track meet is a celebration of their season. I mean, this is the final track meet of the year, and it's a celebration. We're going to see, who's hype, who's not. She's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist. That did not happen years ago. That happened maybe like 2 months ago. And Brittany Brown just took the Diamond League final in the 200 to say, like, hey, Stamp, I'm no longer anybody. Nobody should be sleeping on me at this point.
Yes, and they're coming from two totally different places, right?
Yeah.
Like Gabby came back to the U.S. She did an amazing job elevating our sport in a huge press tour, but she hasn't raced since Paris, and now she's stepping back up to this race today. So it's going to be an interesting battle of coming off a Diamond League title and coming off of ramping yourself back up.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's great with handling pressure. She had a lot of eyes on her, and she still was able to pull off the triple Olympic gold. So you can't put anything past Gabby Thomas.
Super excited. We get to see Olympic champions. We get to see world record holders. We get to see Meg Thee Stallion perform right there at the end. And we're going to be kicking off the race with the 100 hurdles, the ladies 100 hurdles. There are no men at this meet. This is an iconic meet right here at Icahn Stadium on Randall's Island in the beautiful New York City. This has been the CITIUS MAG live pre-race show. Serenity Douglas joined by Talitha Diggs, Aisha Praught-Leer. This has been amazing. Super, super excited. I'm going to say my favorite part is going to be seeing Megan Thee Stallion perform, because I think in my head that I'm her.
Love it.
Okay.
So you are.
Yeah, I am.
Sure.
And I will be. And I will be on the stage with her at
Okay.
But thank
That
y'all
open
so
bar
much
hits.
for tuning in. Make sure you tune in to Athlos X. It's also being streamed on ESPN+. It's also being streamed on YouTube. Look, it's everywhere. It's extremely accessible for you guys to watch. So make sure you guys tune in. This has been an iconic meet. Thank y'all so much for tuning into our podcast. Go back and watch it on the CITIUS MAG YouTube page, because Alexis did join us, the man, the myth, and the legend of the hour. Thank y'all.